They questioned her ID, doubted her legitimacy, and even called security without realizing they were seconds away from denying service to the very woman who could end their careers. For months, Danielle Grayson had been fighting a quiet unease. As the founder and CEO of Grayson Trust, she had built her bank from nothing, priding herself on fairness and accessibility. But whispers had reached her stories from friends, hints from customers, that not every branch reflected those values. Policies looked great on paper, but Danielle wanted to know the truth for herself. So, on an ordinary weekday, she decided to walk into one of her own branches, not as a CEO, but as a regular customer. No tailored blazer, no luxury watch, just jeans, a cardigan, and sneakers. The Indianapolis branch she entered was one she had personally opened 3 years earlier. She'd cut the ribbon, shaken hands, and promised that trust would define their service. Now she was walking in as a stranger. The lobby was quiet, the scent of printer paper heavy in the air. Danielle approached the counter where a young teller barely looked up. No smile, no greeting. Just a dismissive glance before sliding a clipboard toward her. "Fill this out," the teller said flatly. Danielle filled in her information name, account number, and a $5,000 withdrawal. When she handed it back, the teller studied her ID a beat too long, her expression tightening. Then, without a word, she took the ID and disappeared into the manager's office. Danielle waited. The same teller had greeted a man in a suit moments earlier with a warm smile. Now she was being ignored. 5 minutes later, the branch manager, Todd Larson, appeared. His smile was polite but stiff. "Afternoon, ma'am. I understand you're trying to make a withdrawal." Danielle nodded. "Yes, my ID and account details are right there." Todd examined her ID like it was forged. "Is this your first time banking with us?" Danielle's patience thinned. "No, I've been with Grayson Trust since this branch opened." He asked for her occupation. "I'm in finance," she said evenly. "What kind?" he pressed. "Banking." He hesitated but kept pushing. "Unfortunately, we can't process this withdrawal at this time." Danielle frowned. "Excuse me?" "We can't verify the transaction," he said, voice calm but condescending. She pointed to her ID. "You have everything you need." "What's the problem?" Todd gave a vague explanation about security, but Danielle knew what this was. She could see it in his eyes, the quiet judgment, the assumptions. Then came the final insult. He pressed a button under the counter. Security stepped forward. A guard appeared, hand hovering near his belt. "Is there a problem here?" Danielle stayed composed. "That depends. Are you here to help me access my money or to escort me out?" The lobby fell silent. Eyes turned. Todd shifted uncomfortably but doubled down. "Miss, you'll need additional verification before we proceed." Danielle's tone sharpened. "Tell me, Todd, if I were a man in a tailored suit, would you still need all this verification?" He didn't answer. So Danielle pulled out her phone and hit record. "Just so we're clear," she said, voice calm but cutting. "You're refusing to process my withdrawal despite valid ID and account verification, correct?" Todd's face paled. The guard looked uneasy. And then Todd made the mistake that sealed his fate. He tried to snatch her ID back from the counter. Danielle smiled. "Let me introduce myself properly," she said, reclaiming it from his hand. "You're speaking to Danielle Grayson, founder and CEO of Grayson Trust." The room froze. The teller went white. The security guard stepped back. Todd's mouth opened, but nothing came out. "I built this bank," Danielle continued, her tone measured but sharp. "I hired you. I trusted you to represent my company's values. And today I walked in as a customer just to see what would happen." She paused, letting every word sink in. "You refused service. You lied. You humiliated me. And you called security. Todd stammered, Miss Grayson, this was a misunderstanding. She cut him off. No, Todd, you're not sorry for what you did. You're sorry you got caught? She slid her business card across the counter. You'll call my office. You'll explain exactly why this happened. And you'll be meeting with corporate soon. Then she turned to the guard. Be careful who you intimidate next time. Customers deserve respect before suspicion. Finally, she looked at the teller. You followed protocol, right? Ask yourself why that protocol only seems to apply to people like me. With that, she turned toward the door, but before leaving, she faced the room one last time. This, she said firmly, is the last time something like this happens in my bank. Her voice was calm, but her words carried weight. If this can happen to me, the CEO, then imagine what happens to those without the power to fight back. That ends today. The next morning, Danielle called an emergency meeting. The fallout was swift. Todd was fired. Every manager attended retraining. New anti-bias and accountability measures were launched. Within weeks, Grayson Trust began to change. Staff treated customers with empathy. Complaints dropped. Trust was rebuilt. Danielle never forgot that day. It reminded her of a hard truth: policies don't change people. Courage does. And sometimes real leadership means walking into your own empire, not as the boss, but as a mirror. If you've ever faced unfair treatment, speak up. Because silence never changes anything.